Sandra. Welcome to another episode of Asexualized, my Asexualized. This is the place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my own asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit that great big subscribe button down below. Please hit that bell icon to get notified of every time I go live like now or post a new video. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you're enjoying the content as we go along. If you don't know who I am Sandra Bellamy, author of this beautiful book, Asexual Perspectives, 47 Asexual Stories, Love, Life and Sex, a celebration of asexual diversity, celebrating our diversity all across the asexual spectrum, including different types of asexuals and from diverse backgrounds around the world. And I'm also the founder of asexualise.com and the founder of Asexualise Academy. So welcome to tonight's episode. Tonight's episode, I want to discuss with you what qualities make a good friend and what qualities make a good potential relationship. So you might find there's a lot of overlap, which is why I put these two together for tonight's episode. I'm going to talk about friendship first, and then I'm going to diversify into potential relationship. But I think a lot of the qualities that I would look for in a friend and that you should be looking for in a friend should also be in your partner. Because if your partner is not your best friend, there's something quite seriously wrong with the relationship. It doesn't mean to say you can't have other best friends. You know, like I've got more than one best friend these days, but it just should mean that your life, you know, the one you want to spend the rest of your life with, or if you're polyamorous, the multiple people you want to spend your life with, you know, they should be your best friend. Otherwise, something won't go according to plan, in my experience. Okay, so let's talk about a rubbish friend first, because in order to know what a good friend looks like, we kind of have to discuss the rubbish friend. And the rubbish potential partner, right? So the rubbish friend, the person who's not going to be a good friend to you, who's going to be a bad friend to you, is someone who's very, very selfish and always thinking about themselves, talking about themselves, and not ever, you know, speaking to you about yourself, asking you questions about yourself. So a bad friend will just tell you all their problems. They'll offload everything onto you. They'll be very negative all the time, and they won't want to listen to you. They won't want to talk to you. They won't about yourself. They won't want to ask you questions. That's a really bad friend. You might have come across these people in life. They're people that from the moment you start talking to them, they've got problems, but it's not just they've got problems and they want to share them. It's like you are just a wall for them to just hit off all the time. And it doesn't matter what they do. They're just constantly telling you their problems, and that there's no feeling for you there. It's all about them and their problems. And continuously, usually the majority of the time, you know, you would have to interrupt their pattern and say, hey, this is what's happening in my life, in order to even get their attention. And usually they will revert back to themselves again and their own problems. I had actually an asexual online friend for about 2 years who was constantly like that, and in the end it just got too much for me. I just had to. They were going through a lot of stuff, you know, and I like to be there for people, but at the end of the day it was just draining my energy, and the person just kept getting into worse and worse traumatic situations. And some of it, you know, some of it was a bit reflective of my own situation in the past. I really wanted to help them out. I wanted them to see the issues, because I had issues myself. You know, they were having issues with their relationship, but their friendship was largely based with me on their problems and me trying to help them with their problems, but not really ever going to be able to solve them for them, or not really able to going to do anything, because every time I tried to speak to that person, they wouldn't really listen to me, and they would just get into worse and worse situations, even though they knew the answers themselves. So, you know, sometimes people you just have to leave in your life that are bad for you. You know, there was nothing healthy about that relationship for me. And after a couple of years, you know, because I'm kind and caring, some people take advantage of that, you know. And I think that's where you've got to know yourself really well. So in order to look for a good friend or potential relationship, you've got to know your weaknesses, which can also be your strengths, but you've got to know what people are like. They're not all the same as you, you know. You've got to know that if you are very big empathetic, you know, you're empath, you have a lot of empathy for people, you're really kind-hearted, you're really caring, and you will spend time and patience listening to someone, then the right person and that won't take advantage of it, but the wrong person, a bad person for you, will take advantage of it. And they you won't even know they're taking advantage of you. You'll just keep being kind because you just want to help someone. You just want them to better their lives. You just want them to be better people. You want them, you've got a huge amount of love for them, but you have to think, is that person doing that back to you? If they're not a good friend for you. If all they're doing is constantly telling you their problems. I won't go into details, but I have got an asexual friend, and it seems to me they had a friend similar who was constantly telling their problems, and they had to prop up all the time. And friendship's got to be a two-way thing. If all you're doing is listening to a person's problems constantly, and they're not even interested in your life, they're not asking you how you are, they're not asking what's up with your life, they're not asking how you're feeling, they're not asking anything about you, it's obviously they're a very selfish person and they shouldn't be in your life. But I know if you're anything like me, you like to help people, you like people to feel better, you think you can help them and be like a savior to them. You can't. In the end, you have to let them go because they will just rip the life out of you, the soul and the energy out of you. And you just have to say goodbye to them. And it is really hard if you care about them. At first, it can be really, really difficult. But over the time, you get to notice, my God, I feel so much better. I've got my energy back. I've got my life back. I'm not constantly being weighted down by that person. I'm not constantly feeling bad, and it's just much better for you, So that's a prime example of someone that's a really bad friend, where they're just so selfish. You get the other friends as well that will not come and travel to you. You have to go to them the whole time. And they'll never never ever try and see you ever out, apart from when they want to on their terms. I mean, obviously there are some people that are in huge financial problems and it's not easy for them to just go and travel miles to meet up with someone. I hold asexual meetups myself, and I do like people to come to me. At the moment, my finances are not in great shape, I will be honest with you, as I always am on this channel. So yeah, I do hold asexual meetups, but but I will go out of my city with people as well. And if people don't live too far away, then I can go and see them, paying for at the moment financially I can't afford to pay to go away, but if I had the money I definitely would. So I think you have to look at their circumstances, their finances as well, but you also have to, is it reasonable for you to expect them to come? If they live locally, really locally, then they, I live locally to my best friend who's not asexual. And it does cost me money to go over there, but it's not a huge amount of money. And I know she's worth it, and I will go and do that to see her and spend time with her, because I know she always comes to me as well. So a good friend will go out their way to come and see you, even if it means traveling or spending a bit of money to come and see you. They'll go out their way to see you. I mean, if I had the money, I would be going up country more to spend more time with other, with my friends up there more, because I'll probably hold asexual meetups in London maybe one day in the future. They already have meetups in London, but one day I might organize one in London, for example, if I have the money and I can arrange it and stuff like that. So it's not like I don't have plans to do that. I do feel a little bit like, I should be going more to other people sometimes, but with my finances the way they are, that's the way it is. But I will, I'll go out of my city. I'll even to have a meetup here requires me spending a lot of money, because when people come down to me, they're here usually for 3, sometimes 4 days, and I have to spend money outside of my home for four days. So that even costs me quite a lot of money in my own city. But I want to spend time with them while they're here. I want to do it. So rather than a lot of asexual meetups, which they do just meet for a couple of hours for lunch, maybe 4 hours max, I actually, with the people who stay in my city in hotels, I meet up with them the night before the official meet, the night after, and if a friend stays for longer, I'll then see them every single day. So unlike other meetups where they're just literally for a few hours one day, mine's not like that. It goes on continuously for days, and all that costs quite a lot of money eating out all the time, because I don't have, my flat here. I can't invite people around my flat to eat and stay over and watch. There's no room. And because some people obviously have asexual meetups in their home, but I don't do that, so it does so I am still spending my own money out and things like that. So I think when you've got a friend, you've got to assess, you know, that are they making the effort to come and see you as well as you just seeing them? Are they going out of their way to spend time with you? You know, are they, you know, if they can't get to you in person, they willing to speak to you on the phone? Are they willing to Skype you? Are they willing to message you? Now, I know some asexuals, they don't like necessarily talking on the phone. You know, and I think that's okay for a friendship. I don't think that's okay for a relationship, really. But, you know, everyone has their own rules, don't they? I think when you're in a relationship, you have to have a lot more communication. People have to be willing to chat on the phone, Skype, video chat, you know, especially if it's a long distance relationship, which most asexual relationships will be. They need to be very communicative on not just text, but phoning and video chatting as well at some point, you know. I know some asexuals say that are in relationships and the majority of their time is spent messaging. It's not really on the phone or video chatting. But to be honest, to get to know someone really, 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 really well, if you want a long-term, sustainable, fulfilling relationship with them, you're really going to have to at some point get used to face more, because face-to-face it tells a different story. You can see by their facial expressions what they really think and feel about you, not just in a text message. So I think obviously, I think like the qualities of all the qualities you should be looking for in a friend, good quality, should transfer over to relationship, but there should be more stuff you look for in a relationship. So obviously I'm saying some of the bad stuff about friends. Obviously, if you've got a friend that's very selfish, if you've got a friend that's shouting at you, swearing at you, nasty to you, manipulating you, all that type of thing, then you don't want to be having that friend in your life, because they're not really a friend. If you can't talk to them about things, if they snap at you when they say things. So I had a friendship in the past that was really, really one-sided. And to me, that was a very bad friendship in the end, because I when I moved out of home with my parents, when I was living at home with my parents, I used to be the one phoning them the whole time. They wouldn't phone me, which was so annoying. It's like, if you really care, why aren't you ringing me as well? Why is it just me doing all the work? So in any type of friendship, if you feel you literally doing all the work constantly with them, then they're not really going to be a best friend to you, are they? Or a really good friend to you. They're more like an acquaintance, if at best. Do you know what I mean? You shouldn't be doing all the work ever and them not reciprocating or contacting you. You know, they should be making you think that you're valuable to them, and they want to speak to you. They want to see you and spend some time with you. So if it's like, you know, this person, I used to go out of my way, and there used to be a set time with them as well. You know, and I just think that is, you know, like, when you're having a friendship, it should be a mutual agreed time when it works well for both of you. Sometimes it might require one person staying up late at one time if you're in different time zones, and another time it might require the other person staying up later. Or maybe one of you's got like a Wednesday off and you don't really mind like phone them or Skyping them every week, every Wednesday, and they're like, you know, doing it in the afternoon because they're like 8 hours ahead of you in the middle of the night or something, you know what I mean? So it's so if by doing it in the afternoon you can both be like awake to do it and stuff like that. But you know, sometimes you might have to, like, if you're in a relationship, you know, you need more regular contact, and therefore you might be Skyping at night or in the early hours of the morning. It might work like that. But you know what I mean? If you're just doing all the work all the time, it's not good. And this particular person as well, she also used to snap at me sometimes. Like, if I asked her any questions, like, to me, it's a normal question, like, how's your grandma? It's been, you know, it's just a normal question. And I got snapped at for that. Like, why do you want to know? And it's like, that is a normal question to ask someone, how a family member is. Do you know what I mean? And when someone's snapping at you for something like that, it makes you quite scared and worried about asking them anything. And if you've got a person who's your friend, who's supposed to be like a best friend to you, and they're doing that, it's like something's really wrong, isn't it, in that relationship? Something's really off, you know. And if all you've done is ask a question, they're snapping at you, that's not a healthy relationship for you. That's very weird. It's very, very odd behavior, and something that's a huge red flag that should really be avoided. I mean, at the end of the day, if you feel that the relationship is really, or friendship is really, really one-sided, that you're putting more time and effort into them, that you're going out of your way to see them more, that you don't really hear from them very much unless it's on their terms at a time to suit them, and you're going out of your way just to, you know, do that for them. All that type of thing where it's one-sided, it's no good, is it? It's not healthy for you. There's no benefit to you in that. You have to ask yourself the question, why are you still being friends with that person? Is it because you really care and love them and want them to be happy? or is it for some innate need within yourself that you really need them in your life because you haven't got many other friends, if you know what I mean. What you don't realize, and when you come from a very needy place, so back then I didn't have any self-love like I do today. I didn't really have any friends. That was sort of the best I could get, but it wasn't just that. It was I was brought up that that's like the best I can get as well. So it wasn't just a person that I was friends with that was bad for me. It was like being reinforced in my surroundings that that's all I was good for, basically. That that I was supposed to accept that type of friendship because it's the best I could get, and that's very damaging and very toxic. And I wish I'd never been taught that as a child. And if you're ever taught that by family, friends, other friends, parents, or whatever, when you're a child, I think it can be very damaging. And I think if you've not got the love, care, and attention you need from your family very, very early on, from an early age, I think that you can be looking elsewhere for it and trying to fulfill a need that has never been met. And I think that again is quite soul destroying and upsetting. And it's only when you break away from these unhealthy friendships and you actually say, no, I'm better than this. I mean, I broke that friendship off in the end. I'd had enough. I was friends with that person for years, the one I asked about their gran, years and years. I just got to a stage where I just couldn't hack it anymore. I thought, this person's no good for me. They're just no good for me. I let them go, and then my dad's like, why did you let that person go? Like, because they were no good for me. Why would I hang on to someone who's no good for me? And and I was made to feel bad about it. And I don't think people should feel bad about walking away from someone who's bad for them. I think people should be empowered and told, it's okay to walk away from someone who's harmful, hurtful to you, or who just is pretty much neglecting your needs in that friendship. Like, whilst you shouldn't be too needy, you still have needs in a friendship. Everyone does. Otherwise, do you know what I mean? It's human right and part of your existence to have certain needs within a relationship or friendship. I think the word need is very stigmatized. It's like, this overplaying of don't be too needy, which kind of makes you go the other way. If someone's like, or people, society's like, oh, you don't want to be a needy person, then it kind of pushes you the other way to thinking, oh, well, I can't have any needs because if I have needs, I'm a really bad person. But in actual fact, everyone has like things they do actually need from life. They need from people, things that that they're here for in life. If we don't have any needs at all, what are we? An empty vessel. And I think that's the problem with society today. A lot of emphasis is put on certain words, and it's sort of twisted sometimes into really, really bad meaning, where it could be like another meaning. Do you know what I mean? It was interesting. I watched a video yesterday, and it was all about, it was a different take on blame. Like, they say, when a relationship ends, you shouldn't blame anyone. No one's to blame. Do you know what I mean? And with past experiences have been bad, you should never blame the other person. Do you know what I mean? Let it go type thing. But blame is really bad. You're a bad person if you blame someone. But it was very interesting because this person who I watch, he's a former therapist, like psychologist type therapist. He did that work for years, and he admits that he's got past childhood trauma, and he talks about stuff openly. It's one of the best YouTube shows I've ever seen, where this guy is talking about the therapy system, which is very flawed, and he's telling the truth about it, because I already thought a lot of this stuff myself already. It's deeply flawed because it's all rooted in giving people pills usually to solve their problems, which doesn't actually solve the problems. It never gets to the root cause of the problems, but that's what they're predominantly taught, to give you pills. Of course, the pharmaceutical industry is huge, so it pays for people to keep you on pills and band-aid over the problems. But yeah, anyway, this was really refreshing to hear. And he said, another word for blame is responsibility. And, and sometimes in your past, you might have to, like, especially if you're a child, you might have to put responsibility for what happened or the way you felt on, for example, an adult, because when you're a child, you don't know any different. You're totally reliant on adults for your knowledge, for your environment, for your mental health, for your physical health. And so he said, rather than, like, blame, another word for blame is responsibility. And yeah, he thinks you should, like, if someone's done something really bad to you as a child or neglected your needs, then yeah, that responsibility kind of lies with the adult who, who was responsible for you at the time. It doesn't mean to say that you shouldn't forgive or move on, but it's just a way of actually thinking about it differently, to saying, well, yeah, someone needs to take responsibility. And, if you were an innocent child mixed up with something in an adult world, like, then, you've kind of got to confront that. That's what made you that way. That's, that you were, for example, in the terms of, if it was you and your immediate family, and something happened where they neglected or abused you in some way, or I've never, been abused or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? But if you've had, like, it could be mental abuse, physical abuse, trauma, like emotional abuse, which can go on with families. Like, I think it's really important to not keep it all a burden yourself, and, like, think that some of the responsibility was on that adult figure in your life. I know that there's quite a few people who watch this channel who've had some form of mental, emotional, physical abuse or neglect. And neglect's kind of another form of abuse anyway. You know So, I mean, I'm fortunate that, my parents have never, like, there's some people who've had sexual abuse from family members. I've never had anything like that. I'm very fortunate. I mean, I say fortunate, it's not right for people to do that. But, I feel very blessed that I haven't had any of those types of experience. Doesn't mean to say I haven't had, like, neglect, like, well, I'm not really going to go into it, but, there's certain other things like neglecting needs, I think is quite hard, and so in any type of good friendship, it's okay to have some needs. You if you don't need anything, why are we even here? Do you know what I mean? You kind of, like, it's okay for you to have, like, standards and certain expectations. And it's okay for you to want someone to pay attention and listen to you sometimes too, Really, it's all about equality. And if this person's given to you and not just taking from you. And I think it's fine to have those needs, and that you want them reciprocated. So I think, you've got to get a person as well as a friend. I mean, to get a good friend as opposed to just an acquaintance, you need someone who you can trust, who you can confide in your, like, secrets and share them, knowing they're not going to hurt you with them. So you want a friend who you can really trust with your secrets. He's not really going to just tell the work colleagues or your other friends or people they know behind your back. And you want someone who, like, if they're a really good friend or getting to be a really close friend. So there's different stages of friendship, isn't there? There's like an acquaintance, a good friend, a really, like, good friend, close friend. So especially if it's like a very good friend, close friend, you want someone who you can tell and share secrets with, knowing they're never going to hurt you with it. And this is a really important thing about relationship as well, which I'll be going on to more, With a friendship, you should, be able to feel comfortable about sharing your secrets. I mean, if that person in my past didn't even want to tell me an answer to a general question about how their gran is, you can understand they're not really going to be sharing many secrets with me very much, are they? Or only secrets they want to share, otherwise I get punished for it. You know what I mean? And so there should be no punishing in the friendship. There should be no, you do something but then you're fearful of asking them any questions because you feel they're abrupt, they're nasty, they're angry at you, they're aggressive with you. That's that's a very controlling kind of abusive friendship, because it's like you're treading on eggshells. So you can only say certain things to them, but yet they're willing to take from you. They're willing to, like, for you to sit there and listen to them and go over and see them and listen to all their problems that they're just willing to share with you. Do you know what I mean? Or stuff that's not really relevant much in life. Maybe they're just telling you menial things. They're not telling you anything deep. I think I have a friend from India, for example, and it's kind of a strange one because I've known him for quite a few years and I do really like him, but it's hard because he's always fancied me. But it's like lately he's showing more stuff with me, but it's to help me, which is really, really nice of him. And I'm glad he's spending time with me, but he's always one of these kind of mysterious guys who you don't totally know, you know what I mean? Because he doesn't really share much of himself with me. It's more, I didn't really used to say much to him about myself because, I don't really know him on it. How can I put it? I don't really know him, although I've known him years and we've got, I don't know, like, he's attracted to me and I guess I'm attracted to him because he's Indian. But, can't really go there because he's in his own country. And I've been friends with him for what, 4 years, I think now? He's probably the only Indian guy actually that I regularly, well, I say regularly, sometimes we don't message for weeks on months on it. But I think it's the only Indian guy I actually keep in any sort of regular contact with year after year after year, if you know what I mean. So who's not asexual, and he's not in any of my groups or anything like that. I mean, I don't really keep in contact with anyone outside my group that's Indian all the time. That's a bloke. I have got an Indian female friend who messages me sometimes. So yeah, he's not asexual. But yeah, it's really weird because I share more myself lately with him, but he's still quite secretive. It's in, you can go with him to the next level of being like even more of a friend because I don't know enough about him, even though I've known him for 4 years. Do you see what I mean? So I think that when you're moving into the stage of really good friendship rather than an acquaintance good because they've stuck around, when you're moving into really good friendship, they'll share more of their intimate thoughts and feelings with you. They'll share secrets with you. They'll tell you things they don't tell many other people. And that's a sign of a really, really, like, not just good friend, but going towards even closer friend. But it is a good friend, like I've got a friend who's not asexual. And if I can give you examples of how people are good as well, like with a friend that's not asexual, she will go out of her way to travel to see me. Even if she's working long shifts, she will make time to see me. Like, she could be doing 12 or 14-hour shift and she will still see me. And that's why it really irritates me when people are in relationships and they're like, oh, well, I've worked really long a day, like 9 till 5, but I can't see you because I'm too tired. It's just an excuse. It's like my best female friend who's not asexual, who doesn't live in my town, she can work a 12 or 14-hour shift and still make time for me. And sometimes she's worked like really weird hours in the morning for half the day. Like, she's been up, I don't know, 5 or 6 in the morning, worked till 4, and still managed to come to my city to see me and use about 3 methods of transport. I mean, that's someone who's really caring and really wants to spend time with me and really wants to see me. If I've been down, like I was being bullied at work, and she helped me regain more positivity. So a good friendship, you will both be there for each other. You'll both be there for the hard times and the good times. And you won't use things against each other. Like, if you're having really bad, hard time, if you're having weaknesses, which everyone's got weaknesses, if you're having some times that are not good, they won't use that against you later on and come back and say, well, you're this and you're that and you're the other. Do you know what I mean? Because you should be able to be confident and comfortable that you can share your weaknesses with your friend without them bringing it back to you in a bad way and manipulating it or using it badly against you. Like, oh, so if something goes wrong in your life and I think you need friends that are honest with you, but I think you need friends that are supportive with you, and that can see the good in you, that can probably see the good even in your flaws, if you know what I mean. I think a good friend will point out stuff to you, but I think they will all overall be supportive. You don't want someone who's bringing up your weaknesses when you already know them, or making you feel bad about yourself. I think that's a really telltale sign. Someone's making you feel bad about yourself, they're not a good friend to you. Like, yes, you've got imperfections, yes, you've got problems. I mean, obviously, if you're a psychopath or something like that, go and get help. You need help. You're not going to be a good friend to anyone. But I mean, the average person who's just a nice, caring person in general, shouldn't be doing anything like that. And so, a good friend will, so like I said, my good friend will go out away from me. My asexual friend, like I have an asexual friend who's one of my best friends who lives in Hertfordshire, and he'll try to get to every meetup, every national meetup that I do. And he's amazing, he travels miles to come and see me, saves up money to pay for the hotel, to spend some time with me. He spent 4 days with me over my birthday, and I was so happy. I'm like, it just, like, my life is different now. I've got asexual friends, good asexual friends, like, they go out of their way for me like that. To me, that's a true friend, a really amazing friend, someone who thinks, oh, Sandra's birthday is really important, I want to see her anyway, but I want to make sure I spend some time with her for her birthday. Then that means a lot to me. Like, it's very interesting because my best friend who's not asexual, my female friend who will go out of her way to see me and everything like that, she will never take a day off for my birthday ever of her work. And to me, being me, if it was a friend's birthday and I had some holiday, I'd take the odd day off here or there for their birthday if they were my best friend, if they wanted me there on the birthday. Like, it might just be that I can see them in the evening but if they wanted me to go out for the day with them, I would take it off as holiday. I wouldn't even really think twice about it a lot of the time. Do you know what I mean? Unless I'd already booked my holiday out. So, there are different, but, like, she will go, like I said, of a 12-hour shift or whatever and still see me. She'll use 3 methods of transport and pay for it herself to see me. So she clearly wants to see me and spend time with me. And so, she's a really good friend like that. So, not all your friends are going to be exactly the same, but, it just meant so much to me that Sam was there. And Andy, who wasn't very well at the time, we're going to be spending tomorrow together at the Devon County Show, which is like a country show in my city. And I'm so looking forward to it. So, he's coming to my city to do that and spend time with me. And he sent me a beautiful card and gifts and stuff. And being a friend is making the time. Yes, Heather, you summed it up. I've been sat here trying to say it, but you'll just come on here and say it. Oh, I love you so much. You're a great friend. Yeah, being a friend is making the time. Yeah, and I'm really grateful for all you people who come and watch this channel and make time for me. Like, I'm here in the weird hours of the night, and you're just like here for me, aren't you? Like, being a really good friend. Thank you, Heather. I love the fact that Heather's very consistent as well. I think that, yes, that's something I need to talk about. Consistency. Is the person you're friends with consistent? Like, are they consistently nice to you? Are they consistently wanting to spend time with you? Are they consistently wanting to see you? Are they consistently wanting to talk to you? Or is it just they're there for, like, I don't know, once or twice a week and then that's about it? Do you know what I mean? It's really important that you have consistency, because without consistency, do you know what I mean? It's like they're part-time friend to you. They're not really being fully invested in the friendship. So I think it's really important that they're consistent as well with you. So you need to monitor their behavior over a long period of time. You might get the friend who's very enthusiastic at the beginning. It's like, oh, let's go out. You go out for a few weeks together, and all of a sudden they disappear. They're not really interested in you anymore. It's kind of, they needed you for their fix. They needed you at that point in time, but they don't need you anymore, and it's inconsistent. A person who's a good friend will be there for you month after month after month consistently for you. They won't just go out of your life and disappear and never come back. They will be consistent, and their stories will be consistent, and what they tell you will be consistent. So if you have a friend and all of a sudden you start spotting holes in what they talk to you about, so they're very contradictory, they're saying one thing and they're saying a different thing, you know, they're really trying to tell you what you want to hear. That's not a good friend, because it means they're a people pleaser and they're just going to be going around telling everyone what they want to hear, and you're not really going to be able to have them as a very trustworthy, good friend, if you know what I mean. You don't want to. You want a person who wants to make people happy because they're a good person, but not someone who wants to please every single person on the planet, because they'll be like a chameleon and they'll want to change all the time to whoever's around them. And that's not a good thing. Some people think it is, but it's not. I want a friend to check in on me once a month to see if it's functioning. Oh, that's nice. I mean, I have to be honest, Heather. I can, like, with my friends, I can, like, I'm not so worried if they don't speak to me regularly, but in a relationship is different. So a lot of the things that so I think with a relationship, if you're looking for a good relationship, you'll be looking for a lot of the same qualities that you would be in a friendship, but more, because obviously friendship should be the foundation of any very good relationship. If you're not friends with the person in the first place for a long period of time, in my experience, the relationship won't last. You know, I know there are rare cases that it does, but in my experience, it won't last, especially if the person that you meet's not really being genuine. If they start changing their story, their behavior, their attitude towards you changes. So yeah, so in a relationship, you would look for all the things in a friendship. Like, you would look for them to share their secrets with you, their innermost thoughts and feelings, for you to do that with them. You should both be vulnerable, not just one person, because if it's just one person sharing their feelings, emotions, the other person's closed off, it means they got things to hide. They don't want you to see the proper real them. They're not being totally genuine about the relationship. I think obviously with some friends, you know, like, there's different degrees of friends. So you might have friends, they don't share all their secrets with you. I have people who are on my friends list, for example, on Facebook. They're not what I call real good friends. They're more acquaintances. They don't share with me their life story, but obviously on Facebook, sometimes they do share a lot of their life story, but, you know, they're not doing it directly with me in private, secret, like we're best friends type thing, you know? So I think you've got to really understand that a lot of people who are on social media, who are your friends, they're not really your friends, a lot of them. They are more acquaintances, right? And so you know, when you're actually in a relationship or looking for someone to be in a relationship, you should be looking for someone who's equal to you, who's sharing their secrets with you, you're sharing them with yours with them. You can talk to about anything and everything without being in fear. So you've got nothing, like I mentioned earlier about the friend who snapped at me just asking about her grandma in the past. You know, you shouldn't have anything like that to fear or worry about. You don't want to be coming home from work one day, meeting up with your partner, for example, if you're in a relationship with them, all over a sudden you ask them, like, how was your day? Oh, why do you want to know? Do you know what I mean? You don't want that type of attitude. You want someone who's open and honest with you, kind and caring, right? You don't want someone who uses your past or weaknesses against you. That is going to be a manipulator and a bad person for you. And you don't want someone who's being vindictive or sly, or someone who's trying to, you know, being sarcastic and putting you down or belittling you. I mean, all this is, like, you know, what you don't want from a good friend. A good friend or a good life partner should be, you know, like, should be encouraging you in your goals, ambitions and dreams. They should be supporting you. Anything you have a problem with, you should be able to go to each other about without being in fear, without being aggressive. You know, like, it's okay to be upset, it's okay to be angry, but you should be expressing that with each other in a constructive way, saying, I'm feeling angry right now because you did this, this and this, or because this and this happened and it made me feel this way. And then you need to have a discussion about it to see what you can do going forward to help each other feel better about the situation and have some constructive outcome. You know, like, if you're a friend and you're having, like, sort of a heated debate, one of you or both of you should be agreeing to disagree. A friend that doesn't judge, yeah. I think, yeah, I mean, doesn't judge is, again, that judge is a really weird word, because lots of people use the word judge as in think, oh, if you're judging people, you're so bad. But you do have to judge in terms of, is this person a good person for me to be a friend with or relationship with? So you have to be like, you look for a friend who doesn't judge you as in they accept things about you and they accept the way you are. They love you for your weaknesses and strengths. But at the same time, if you have flaws or they have flaws that really aren't good for the other person, they're not healthy. So, for example, if you've got someone who has aggressive outbursts, you know, that person needs to do something about it. You would judge then. You think, God, if that person's having an aggressive outburst, my life could be in danger. You know, so you do you know what I mean? It depends what you know. You want someone who doesn't judge you as in, like, say something happened that they wouldn't necessarily think is your fault. They wouldn't blame you. They just listen and accept it about you. But you also don't want to be so naive as to think that you don't ever judge, because judging is about using your judgment, is about assessing whether that person's good or bad for you. So you need to assess whether the person's good or bad for you as a friend or potential relationship, because you don't, your life could be in danger. You know, like, you know, I've had people in my past who were abusive, you know, and I won't have that again. If I spot any signs of potential abuse, like if I spot aggressive outbursts, so I can't be friends with the person. Do you know what I mean? It's just, I'm not going to put my life in danger for the sake of a friend or potential or boyfriend or whatever. My life's worth more than that. Do you know what I mean? I don't need that rubbish in my life. There's thousands of other people out there. There's thousands of other people with friends, and there's thousands of other people for potential relationship. And so, whilst I agree with Heather, a friend that doesn't judge in one sense, you know, so like, say like, you know, like as an asexual person, you want someone who's going to support you in your asexuality, whether they agree with it or not, if you know what I mean. Like someone who just accepts you as you are, you know. But do you know what I mean? That would be like someone you'd want that would be non-judgmental. You'd want someone who just accepts you for who you are. Like if you're a guy who wears makeup, for example, your friends should just accept that about you. You know, but obviously if you're a person who's nasty piece of work and you know it, then obviously people should be judging for their own safety. So when you are looking for a good friend or potential relationship, you do have to judge, as in you have to use your judgment. Judge is another word for judgment. You have to use your judgment for safety. There is always going to be an element of that for protection. You always got to remember that your best friend and your best life partner is yourself, first and foremost, before anyone else. Because unfortunately, some people who you think you're friends can later turn out to not be your friends, you know, and you do need the safety net of yourself there as well. You know, you need to be confident and comfortable in yourself and know that if people go from your life, it's okay, because you still got yourself and you love yourself implicitly. It's really, really important, you know, with all your weaknesses and all your strengths, you need to accept yourself for who you are. But you do want a partner or friend that is going to not use your weakness against you. So say you did have some abuse in the past, right, and you told that person about it, and then they were using that abuse against you, saying, well, you were like this, they abused you, so you kind of deserved it. It's not a good person for you. Say you had something like, I don't know, say you had something that you were no good at, like say you had a maths problem that you were no good at, and you came to your friend to help with the maths problem. You don't want that friend going, oh, well, you never did good at school, did you? You sucked at maths, so this is why you can't do it. You don't want that type of judgment. You don't want that type of ignorance and that type of belittling. You want someone who'll go, oh, sure, I'll help you with that. If I know it, of course I'll help you, you know? So a real good friend will help you to better yourself, will help you to, you know, they will share their knowledge with you, you share your knowledge with them. A good life partner will also do that. They will be supporting you, helping you to grow. You'll be helping each other to grow as people. You'll be talking and sharing stuff with them openly and honestly. And you know, you've got to make sure that when you go from friend to relationship, that you don't stop the communication. I've noticed that in the past, when I've gone from friendship to a relationship with someone, the friendship, they were like sharing loads of secrets, they're being open, being honest, and then all of a sudden I get in a relationship with them and they just stop doing that. And I carry on and they just stop it. And that is like, what's gone on? This is not good. You know, so you don't want that. You know, they're no good to be in a relationship with if they're doing that, even if it was a friend, they were really good. Do you know what I mean? So you becomes a very tricky situation then, because if you end up getting into a relationship with someone and they just totally stop speaking to you like they did before, it could be, you know, it's going to be all one-sided relationship, and then that's going to be no good for you, and it could be quite soul destroying. So you want to look for a person who's a friend, but also for potential relationship, someone who isn't belittling, doesn't put you down, who loves you in spite of your weaknesses, and who accepts about you, and maybe even helps you to become a better person. Not as in, oh, you've got a weakness, you work on it now. As in, if they see a weakness, they might turn it into a strength for you, help you turn it into a strength, you know. Or they might see the beauty in your weakness, if you know what I mean. You need balance, yeah. But you know, you need to feel supported, loved, and cared for by your good friend, and also by a potential partner. You know, if you've got anyone who's belittling you, putting you down, making you feel small, or someone, for example, in a relationship, someone who gave you a lot of affection in the beginning, a lot of tension, a lot of love, made you their priority, then all of a sudden takes that away from you, they're not a good relationship. They are literally manipulating you. If they gave you something and then took it away, it's not good. So you don't want that in a friendship either. You don't want them, like I said, all in the beginning, like they see you several times for a few weeks, and then all of a sudden they don't see you anymore for months. You know, like I've made the mistake of thinking that people are my friends when I haven't seen them for years, because I still feel a bond with them, but it's not, they're not bonded to me anymore. It's just me feels that with them because I'm able to do that, I guess. And I would still used to say, oh, these people are my best friends, but how can they be my best friends when they haven't even seen me for years, or they're not bothered about seeing me? They don't make any arrangements. They're not really good friends, are they? They're either acquaintances or completely out of my life, you know? So I think you've got to look at the overall picture. But someone, you know, if you look for a good person to be in a relationship with, you want someone who's knows exactly what they want in their life and knows they definitely want to be with you. You need to look for someone who chooses you as well. I think this is so important, because years ago I was advising an asexual friend, a guy friend who's in a wonderful relationship now, going to be marrying his asexual girlfriend, fiance, in the future next year. And, you know, my advice to him was, don't go after, because even though he's asexual, he was still interested in a lot of women. He's like, oh, there's loads of meetups I'm going to, which is great, because that's how he met his partner. But he was like, oh, I like lots of girls, you know, I think they're all beautiful. And I'm like, but you need to hone down really the one specific person that you want to be in a relationship with, you know. Like with friends, obviously it's a bit different, because you know, unless you're a polyamorous person, but with friends you can have more than one friend. But again, you want to get the really close best friends, you still got to put a lot of time and effort into them. But with a relationship, you know, it's just really super important. I've nearly forgotten what I was going to say. I was on a thread then and I interrupted myself. I hate it when I do that. So what was I saying? Oh my god, it's really hot in here as well, which doesn't help. Ow. So I've lost my train of thought now. Oh no, I hate that when I've lost my train of thought on a live stream. What was I saying? I was saying that it's really important to have someone who puts a lot of time and effort into you and who is consistent. That's so important, specifically in a relationship as well. And you do want to be like, if you're a monogamous person, you know, you should, that person shouldn't be like I was saying in the beginning, they're all for you, all wanting to spend time with you, and then all of a sudden they don't want to do that much anymore. They're not investing time in you, because when they stop investing time, their energy, their openness with you, and they become really closed, they become really cut off from you, that's a sign you have to leave the relationship. You have to talk to them about it, say like, I'm feeling this way about the relationship, I'm not feeling good, and they need to do something about it. If they're not going to do anything about it, you need to leave the relationship, because it's no good for you anymore. Like if you've got, yeah, exactly, Heather, that's a huge red flag, a huge red flag. But it does happen, you know. There are certain people that will literally come in your life and they will make you feel like you're the queen or king or whatever, and that they'll make you feel like they're meant to be with you forever, that they're your soulmate, that they're your best friend. All of a sudden that you seem to click with them, you've got loads of stuff in common, and then it's like having a red carpet and they just pull it away from you. You know, you might find there's toxic friends like that you've got as well, that all of a sudden they really want to be around you, they tell you all their secrets and share, and then they just pull away from you. And you don't want that. It's a very manipulative tactic sometimes, because they'll pull away from you. Then when they've got what they want from you, they'll come back to you, or when they're bored, you know, they'll come back to you. And that's another thing, you don't want to have friends that are just messaging you or wanting to chat with you when they're bored and fed up because they've got nothing else to do with their life. You know, they've got nothing better. It's like, oh, I'm really bored right now, I thought I'd ring you. That's, you want a friend who's gonna ring you or be there for you in tough times. You know, like some of my friends, you know, like they've got lives of their own, right? They're busy doing other stuff. They might be cooking, they might have partners themselves, they might be doing other stuff in their life, they might have their own issues going on, you know. And sometimes as a friend, sometimes, you know, your partner, sometimes you might have to say, look, I've just got to go and be by myself for a while, because maybe you're going through something so horrendous in your life that you have to take time out for you, because if you don't take time out for you, you're not going to be at a healthy state for other people. And you have to be able to say that and be honest with them, and they have to allow you to do that, but know that you're not going away from them. Like if you know, like you're not doing anything bad, but you also want a friend or life partner that's going to be there through times when they are tired and stuff for you. So, you know, they might have been really tired and had a hard day at work, but you might really need to speak to them. And you don't want someone who's going to put off and say, I can't speak to you right now, I'm too tired. You want someone who's going to give you the devoted time, you know, who's going to give time to you, who's going to listen to you, who's going to be there for you, even when it's not convenient for them. Because life isn't a convenience. Sometimes things happen and it's at the most inappropriate time, and sometimes you just might need to talk to a friend, or you might need to talk to a life partner, you know. And you know, some of my friends, my close friends, my good friends I call them, they are there for me, even though like it's really late at night sometimes, even though things have happened in their life and, you know, like stuff's piled on them that they wish they hadn't happened, you know, they're still there to support me. And that is a true friend. You know, that's what, you know, like I'm blessed that I found this asexual community. I'm so blessed because I have some people in my life now that actually give time to me. When I first started doing the asexual work, I used to have a lot of people, I guess, come to me, ask me questions all the time, which I didn't, you know, I want to help as many people as possible. But it was all about time, kind of like people, I felt people like in private message that came in, obviously they weren't my good friends. So, you know, there were people that were just like asking questions, but it was all about taking stuff from me, taking my time, you know, and I give a lot of time, as you know, even more time now on this channel. But it was all kind of like I didn't really feel I had any good friends. And you know, like last year that really changed for me, you know. I think it was only last year I met Sam and Andy. I think it was 2017, just seems 2018, sorry, it was last year. Just seems really weird. I feel like I've known them for years. You know, my best asexual friends really feel like I've known them for years. And so it's very hard for me to think back that. But you know, if I hadn't done all the asexual work I do, I wouldn't ever have those guys. And I've got a couple of other guy friends that are good friends. They're not as close to me, but they are good friends. You know, they're there for me when the shit hits the fan, in other words. So, you know, and I do keep in contact with them. We meet up sometimes. So it's been really nice, you know, I've met up with both of those recently in my city, because one lives in my city and the other lives like about an hour and a half away on the bus. So that's been really nice. So, you know, again, you know, making time for me, making time for them, I think is really important. And it's so lovely when people do that, and it's got to be equal a lot of the time, you know. If you ever see someone that's just like fading in the background or going away from you, then you know you have to let them go in the end, because they, you know, holding on to them's not going to do you any good. It's just going to waste your life away. So you just have to think that when people go out of your life, better people will come into it, you know. And what I find is really difficult is if you've had a partner and they were all like all over you, loved you, really want to be with you, and then all of a sudden there's nothing there, they don't give a toss about you. Obviously you had a lucky escape from that type of person, you know. You don't want to be with that type of person in your life, because it just means they weren't ever being genuine really in the first place. You never knew who they totally were. And friends will always be supportive of your life choices, whether they agree with them or not. So for example, you know, like one of my friends, they had a partner who I knew wasn't good for them. And all I could do is, they were alcoholic. That's what I'm talking about, not give them. I'm not on about a personality trait. I'm on about serious alcoholism problem, And so I couldn't tell them not to be with that person because they loved them. And if you tell someone not to be with someone, usually it pushes them more towards them. And also you never want to come between someone and their partner. If they're really seriously in love with their partner, you never ever want to come between them as a friend. You just want to support them and be there for them, whether you agree with their life decision choice or not. Because one, you want to be a good friend to them, and two, if it doesn't work out, you can then be there for them and not a I told you so type of person. Do you know what I mean? You should never be an I told you so type of person. You should always be like like comforting them and stuff and being there for them because if someone's really bad for them, it might take them years to get free of them because we're all in different life stages. And so it's really important that if your partner's with someone who is really abusive, partner, if you're friends with someone who's really if you're friends with someone who's really abusive, then yes, you can point it out to them and say, well, I don't think this is good they're like that because I want better for you. But at the end of the day, it's still their choice and their decision, and you shouldn't be interfering in their choices and decisions because it will backfire on you usually as well. You don't want to be getting involved in that. All you want to do is be there for them because as a friend, you can't choose other people's relationships for them. Do you know what I mean? If you're choosing other people's relationships for them, you're kind of trying to control your friend, really. Do you know what I mean? And that isn't healthy. You should never be trying to control your friends' actions and stuff. You should be letting them be free to be themselves. Similarly, in a relationship as well, you don't want to be telling your partner what they can and can't do. Obviously, in a relationship, there's slightly different dynamics. Like the expectations are usually higher, the standards are usually higher. So, for example, like if I'm with a friend and they drink alcohol, that doesn't affect me, right? Unless they're getting blind drunk and they're thrown up on me or don't even know who I am and paralytic. Do you know what I mean? But, they're not, it's not good. But if they're just drinking alcohol, that's fine. But I mean, for me, it's really difficult because I hate alcohol so much. I hate the smell of it and the taste of it. So if I'm in a relationship with someone, that can be quite difficult for me. And what happens? You hear someone cheats on them. What happens? You hear someone cheats on them. If I heard someone was cheating on someone, and then my friend, I'd tell them whether they believed it or not. I'd say it to them. I'd say, well, it's up to you whether you believe me or not. But I saw this person with that, kissing that girl or whatever. Then, I would just let them know. But I'd leave the decision to them, whether they want to be with them or believed me or not. You never get the way of love, believe me. Even if I've been best friends with that person for a long time, I will not come between them and someone else, their partner, because I know what happens from experience. People who are really strong. I'm not talking about weak people who are like easily manipulated and you can tell them whatever and they'll just drop their partner at the drop of a hat. People who are strong, people who actually want proper love, who want a devoted relationship, they will usually stick up for that person, because if you're in a relationship with them, the person should be sticking up for you. A good relationship partner would be sticking up for you, would be strong for you, would be there for you. Do you know what I mean? And so if you had like friends that were going on about your partner all the time, oh, why are you with them, blah, 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 and you love the partner, you don't want to lose your friends, but at the same time, you don't want hassle about your partner all the time because you're intimate with them. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of a higher level of friendship because you've got more intimacy. And so it's a very difficult one, but you really like need to be kind of sticking up for your partner at the same time as not losing your friends. But a good friends will accept your partner and your life choices, even if they don't agree with them. But if I heard someone was cheating on my friend, I would tell them. I'd feel like I'd go, look, I really feel like I have to tell you this. It's up to you whether you agree with it or want to hear it or believe it. But this is what I saw, or this is what I heard. But I don't want to upset you. I just want to let you know. That's what I just say to them, and then it would be up to them. whether they choose to ignore it. I mean, one of my friends, her ex, I mean, his hands was all over other people. I mentioned it, and she's like, "Oh, it's just the way he is." And so I'm like, "Okay." But she has different standards to me. She's not asexual, so she, like she can dance with loads of guys and stuff. So you got to understand that your standards are not necessarily your friend's standards either. But your life choices are not your friend's life choices. That your idea of a partner is not necessarily the same idea as your friends, and that's the point of letting them go and detaching and being there for them, but not controlling them. Do you see what I mean? Like, like my friend was in a relationship with a much older guy last time, but she was really happy. But some of her other friends were having a go at her. Like, why do you want to be with him? I mean, I like younger guys, so I can hardly talk. But I mean, I don't like older guys. And, to me, an older guy is a really repulsive idea, personally, because I'm not into older guys, right? And the thought of it is quite like, ugh, for me. Because when I think about it, it's not good. But she was really happy with him at that time. They're not together anymore, but she was really happy with him. And all I care about is her happiness. If you're a true friend to someone, all you want is their happiness. You want to tell them the truth as you see it, but you don't enforce it on them or push it on them. The last thing you want to do is make your friend choose between you and a partner. Because a lot of the time, even if you've been friends with them for years, a lot of the time they will always choose the partner in that moment, and don't think, I don't go around thinking, oh, well, I've been friends with them for years, why are they choosing them over me? I don't put them in that position. I don't put them in a position where they got to choose one or the other, because that would be me being a bad friend. I don't think, well, I've been friends with you for like 5, 6, 7, well, with that friend I've been friends with them for 7 years, but but you've got to put me over your partner, because I know if I'm in a relationship that I hold a relationship in really high regard, that it's very, very important to me. And I know it would be to that friend as well, because they'd have to be supporting their partner. They'd have to, because otherwise, why are they even with them? Even if that person's wrong for them. So you kind of like got to be supportive of your friends, whether you agree with their life choices or not and decisions. There'll be some friends and they will make bad choices in life. I make bad choices sometimes in my life. Or I don't think like anything's a bad choice in the sense I think everything happens for a reason. I would tell my friend to call me when things happen and call me I'm still your friend. Yeah. I think you have to be just trying to be their friend anyway, because if you say I would tell my friend to call me when things happen, you're kind of like saying this person's going to do something to them. Do you see what I mean? You're kind of like putting it in their mind, doubt, oh, when things happen, I'll be here for you. But what's a better thing to do is just to be there for them like you normally are. Not say when things happen and call me, I'm still your friend. It's just to just behave normally with them. Just still be their friend. Like I know when my friend gets in a relationship, sometimes I don't see her as much. I'll be honest with you. But I expect that. I think as a friend, you've got to have realistic expectations that when someone gets a life partner, they're going to be spending more time with them. They are going to see them more. They're probably going to have less time for you. And that is a realistic thing to think. It's no good like thinking your friend's going to have all this time for you that had before, because they've got to make time for that other person in their life. Yes, I see. I think obviously, when someone gets into a relationship, you can say, like, oh, I hope I still hear from you. But hopefully you won't be so insecure as to think that why wouldn't they still speak to you? I mean, if you're the opposite gender, then that's different. What's the best way to say that? I wouldn't say anything about I would tell my friends to call me when things happen. The word things happen is like you basically saying, I don't believe this is a good relationship for you. Something's going to happen and I'm here to pick up the pieces. And that is like basically telling your friend they've made a wrong decision and being kind of like superior, that you know more than them, and that you're going to be here when the negative stuff happens. That's not a good thing. What you want to be doing is be there for them all the time. So you don't, you just talk to them like normally, like message them and go, hi, how are you doing? How's things going? And a lot of the time, if they are having an abusive partner, they won't tell you anyway, because the person will be abusing them and expect them to keep it quiet. you'll just know by reading between the lines of what your friend says. But all you do is make your friend happy in that moment, you know? You concentrate on being a friend to your friend. You don't worry about their partner, you know, unless their partner's directly trying to come between you, saying, "Oh, you can't see your friend anymore." No one should be ever saying you cannot see your friend anymore. Obviously, if you're in a relationship with someone and you've got friends of the opposite gender, especially if they're not asexual, then it can be very difficult. Because obviously, if I'm with my asexual friends, it's not like I'm going to have sex with them, is it? But if I was with a partner who wasn't asexual and they go and see someone of the opposite gender, that can have a whole lot of different implications. You're welcome, Heather. That can have a whole lot of different implications. Do you see what I mean? So I think there's always a danger with sexuals that they could cheat on you with their sexual friends because they have that innate need and desire to have sex with people, whereas we don't. So I do think it's very, very difficult to trust more with sexuals than it is with asexuals. But obviously asexuals can mostly cheat. So I think there has to be a discussion as well. I think what you have to try and do is, if you have a partner, you have to try and bring your friends to see your partner at some point. You should all be friends together. That's ideally what you want going forward. You know, like I saw my friend's alcoholic boyfriend more than once at that time. She's not with him anymore, thank God. She got free of him. But she had to make that choice for herself and see what he was really like for herself. Do you see what I mean? Doesn't matter if I've mentioned it a few times. I think I'd say something like, I think you deserve better than the way he's treating you. It's not very good for you. But that's the type of thing I'd say. It's just a supportive, kind, caring comment. I keep learning every day is important. Thank you, Heather. I'm glad you're learning something. Yeah, because if someone said to me, I would tell my friend to call me when things happen and call me, I'm still your friend, that makes it sound like something's going to happen to them. So you're already putting negative thoughts in their head, and you're already kind of like telling them the outcome, which will make them feel like, you know. So for example, when I was young, I got told, oh, well, I'll be there to pick up the pieces when things go wrong, meaning that my decisions are wrong. And then you're kind of undermining the person's decision. What you have to think is everything's a life experience. Even though your friend might not make the right decision, in your opinion, in that time, let them be and do what they need to do and learn for themselves in life. It's like, I don't have children, but if you do have children, there's a thing where you have to let them make their own mistakes. And that's what you have to do with people. If you're a very good friend and parent or whatever, yes, you should say something because you care, to the extent where, you know, if someone's being abused, then you need to say something like, you know, I'm concerned that I think your partner's being abusive towards you. But that's coming from a loving place. Do you see what I mean? Like, turning around and saying your partner's abusive, you should leave them, is you being aggressive about the situation, is you being confrontational and telling them what to do. You saying, oh God, I'm really worried and concerned about you because, you know, sometimes I've noticed your partner's verbally abusive to you. Like, how do you feel about that? You know, so you're really taking the compassionate, caring, loving view towards them. You're not telling them to leave them. You're not telling them this person's so bad for you. Why can't you see it? Are you stupid? You know what I mean? Because I've been with abusive people. For years, I was with someone who's very bad. I won't do that again. Whenever I find a whiff of abuse, I'm out of there. Whether I love the person or not, doesn't matter. I'm out of there. I won't be with someone like that ever again in my life. You know, if I'm with someone who has an aggressive or emotional outburst, that's it. I'm out of there. Do you know what I mean? I won't be friends with someone or in a relationship with someone like that. I'm out of there. It's history. Whether it's history or not in my feelings, it's, you know what I mean? I can't be with someone. But it's easier said than done. When you start loving someone, it takes you to a whole new level where you overlook their bad behavior a lot of the time. You know, like, because I know the nature of abusive relationships, people will make excuses for them. Like, people, like your friend will make an excuse for their partner's bad behavior, and they will keep making excuses for them. But what you don't want to end up is in a relationship with a partner who's making up excuses and reasons why they're badly behaved towards you. And similarly, your friend, like, oh, well, I'm being horrible to you because you're not good at this and you're not good at that, so you deserve me being horrible to you. Like, I'm telling you, I'm putting you down for your own good. Do you know what I mean? That's not the type of person you want to be friends with or in a relationship with. You know, like if someone turns around and says, well, I was doing that for your own good, and really they're doing something that's horrible, putting you down, belittling you, they're not doing it for their own, for your own good. They're doing it to manipulate you, abuse you, be nasty to you, violate your boundaries, and for their own personal gratification. So yeah, I mean, I hope it's helped you, Heather, to understand the dynamics. So yeah, if you've got a friend, and you know, like if you've got a friend, it's best to just say something like, I've noticed this, I'm just a bit concerned about it, how do you feel about it? That then puts their person at ease, that you're not trying to tell them not to be with that person, you're not trying to split them up. Because if their partner, the problem is, if their partner gets a whiff of you trying to split them up and they are abusing them, they will try and pull their friend away from you. That's what they would try and do. And if you say to them, call me when things happen and call me, I'm still your friend, that would call me when things happen would make it seem like I can only ring you when the shit hits the fan. And you've basically telling me shit hits a fan because I've made a bad decision. And that'll make me feel bad about myself. So you don't want your friend to feel bad about themselves. Yeah, you just have a normal conversation. You just say, how are you? And if they, you know, they might if they feel comfortable around you and they don't think you're going to say, well, I told you so, or why are you doing this? You know, they might start saying, well, you know, I had this major argument with them and they were flying off the handle at me and they were so nasty and I'm so upset about it. And you can't go around then saying, well, don't be with that person. Get out there now. You know, even though you want to, you just have to say, oh, that's really bad. How awful for you. You know, like, how are you feeling now? How did things end for you with that person? You know, are you still together? Are you know, how are you feeling now? And they might say, oh, well, they were having a bad day, you know, or you know, because they'll make up excuses for this type of person. They might say, oh, well, they were having a bad day, you know, they've done a 14-hour shift. Like in respect of like an alcoholic, it might be like, well, they had such a bad day and they just had to have a drink, you know. And I understand that because I really get them, you know, because they're their partner, and you know, and it's just awful. I mean, this guy who was my friend's ex, and I went out with all of them because it's really important for healthy relationships and going forward that if you've got friends and a partner, eventually they meet up at some point and perhaps you all go out together, you know, because that's comforting. But this guy who was with my friend at the time, he actually put his hands round my neck in a restaurant and he started grabbing my neck like this. And I was like, I think it was like this or something behind. He started gripping it. And I looked at my friend and I thought, this is just going too far. I don't want his hands on me. He might abuse you, but I don't want that on me, you know. And I was horrified. And that was a very difficult situation for me to be in, you know. And I just had to say to him, just take your hands away, babe. Or I think I might have froze actually, because obviously if someone's got their hand near your neck, you know, you can't. I think I might have froze and think, what the hell's going on? I did give my friend a bit of a dirty look, as in, you know, not for her, but what the hell's he doing to me, you know? And it was a very dangerous for me and I wasn't happy. Then he decided to blow up and have a go at whatever at the situation, whatever he was doing. And so that was very tricky for me. It was very hard, you know, because I'm loyal to my best friend. But obviously I don't want this guy's hands on my neck because it's potentially abusive, potentially, you know, like he could really hurt me, you know? So, I think I might have froze and just waited till he's and just like go, I think I might have said I don't like that in a low tone of voice, because the thing is, if you are with someone who you don't want to be in a relationship, obviously, with these type of people, this is not a good person to be in a relationship with, right? Don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is you can't control other people, the decisions they make in their life. But these are the type of people you want to be avoiding. You want to avoid, obviously, alcoholics. You know, you don't want to be getting someone who drinks loads, right? You know, if you're gonna have someone who drinks, you want someone who drinks in moderation, not someone who gets regularly peed out of their brain. You don't want that. And it, you know, like it'll come across as jolly at first because these people come across as really laid back. Oh yeah, I go to the pub regularly with my mates, so we have a good time, we have some beers, we have a laugh, everything's great. It's all very well then portraying the jolly, laid back, fun person to be with, because that's what will be in the beginning. But imagine being with someone who actually has a drinking problem, who starts drinking around you constantly, who starts shouting at you and being aggressive with you. But that's not the side their mates will see a lot of the time. The side their mates will see is the fun, like, oh, he's fun and laid back. He's always up for a drink, always up for a laugh. Do you see what I mean? So you've got to, when you're choosing your friends and when you're choosing a partner, you've got to choose not what the public see, not what that person portrays to everyone else, but you've got to decide if the fundamental cause of that person are actually right for you to be in a friendship or relationship with. The side you see, the behind closed door side, because if you're really good friends with someone, they will see warts and all of you, right? They will see your bad side, you know? They will see the side where, you know, it's like, don't mess with that person's side. They will see that. You got to be aware, exactly, Heather. You have to be aware of these things. You have to be aware of, consciously aware of things all the time. You know, like, you kind of get to gauge your friends and you get to know who you can tell a lot to and who you can't. And obviously the people you can share a lot of secrets without them throwing it up against you, or, you know, with them actually helping to make you stronger because of your secrets you share. That's a good friend. You know, I've got friends that close that I share my secrets with, and instead of, like, you know, they don't attack me, they actually make me empowered by their responses. They might make me see things in a really good light that I've never seen before. Whereas I'm thinking really bad stuff about myself, maybe they're saying stuff like, "Oh no, this is good about you," and so that's really nice. Do you know what I mean? I think it's very, your friend should be empowering you. Your partner should be empowering you. You should get someone who is going to develop and grow themselves and who is willing to take part in society, do things better for the human race. You know, like, so it was very interesting because there's a guy in ASAP I've been talking to, and he just drinks. You know, like, unfortunately, he loves his drink, right? He's not even in the same country as me, but he seems to really like talking to me. He likes foreign women and I like foreign guys. So, but, you know, it's interesting because he kind of challenges my ideology a lot. But it's like, you know, I couldn't be with someone who drinks all the time like that and who uses it for their problems. So one minute they're saying, oh, well, you know, like, you know, if I got problems, I just drink, and then I've still got problems, I drink some more. The next minute they're changing their story, going, oh, I don't drink that much. You know what I mean? It's like, well, you've just told me you do and you enjoy it, which is fair enough. It's who you are, but don't change your story now, you know? But it was really interesting because I said to him, I don't like alpha males. Right, I'm not into alpha males. And I said, my best guy friends are not really like that. And he's like, well, what are they like then? I still haven't answered him yet. And I was really good to prompt that question, like, what is it about my really close male friends that I really like and appreciate? My brother told me, if people are talking about people, those are the people stir from. People are talking about people, those are the people stir from. Yeah, if people are talking about other people, they're likely talking about you as well if they're doing it in public. So it's not a good thing. What was I saying now? I forgot what I was going to say again. Oh yeah, what I like about my best. No, I wasn't talking about gossip. I was talking about my best friends. So with this guy, I was talking about a guy on ASAP, right? The asexual dating and social app, saying he's actually abroad and he's a foreign guy that messages me quite regularly, like daily usually at the moment. And he was saying he drinks a lot, right? One of these things is he does love drinking, and he seems to use it to solve problems. And what I was saying is earlier about contradictions. I told him, personally, I don't like alcohol. I don't want a guy who drinks alcohol, ideally, which is going to be hard for me to get, or unless they at least drink it in really small quantities. I prefer, to be honest, with a guy who doesn't do that at all. And he loves doing that, right? And so, and then he kind of changed the story. But I told him I don't like alpha males. I don't want to be in a relationship with an alpha male, which it seems to me that's what he is. So I'm very different to him. And he said to me, what is it? Because I said my male friends, my male asexual friends, are different to that alpha male. They're not really like that. And he said, what is it about them that's good then? What do you like about them? And I haven't answered him yet, but I'm answering it now because it really made me think. And so I thought to myself, like, what are these guys got that the others haven't, right? And these would be qualities I would also look for in a relationship as well. So, for example, like my two best asexual guy friends, like one of them specifically has really, his boundaries are pretty much the same as mine. So that makes him hugely trustworthy for a start. So he has boundaries in place with people. He's very different between relationship and friendship. So there's really strong boundaries in place. So I look for that. And also, they're both working on their own projects. So they're both really creative. They're contributing to the world in their own creative way. One works on his own sci-fi universe. He's very intelligent and creative. And he'll spend hours on that. And I really admire a guy who'll spend hours on that. Like, if you compare an alpha male usually wants to go down to the pub with his friends, drink a lot, chat, but not do very much else. That's what their predominant life is, you know, going out, watching sport, playing sport, being one of the lads, all the lad banter, looking at a ton of women. Do you know what I mean? Like, not really that bothered about spending time with their partner. They'd rather be out with their mates. You know, their partner could be at home waiting for them, like good little girl or boy or whatever. And do you know what I mean? That to me is the alpha male. Well, that's the alpha male I've been brought up to believe is an alpha male. Not in coaching, it's recommended you get an alpha male for a relationship because they're meant to be really good and strong. But I tend to not think alpha males are good and strong. I tend to think they are insensitive, a lot of them. Don't really care about their partner because they don't make their partner a priority and would rather be out with the lads and watching sport and drinking. That's how I see an alpha male. And I think they're quite weak around other women as well. So that's why I don't want an alpha male. So my best, like all the guy friends that I really know, like, that I'm closer to, particularly my two close best mates, they, you know, they're not going out to pubs, chatting up loads of women and stuff. They are very boring. What, the alpha males? So the you know, to me, my best friends, you know, they're contributing to society as well. So one of my friends, he does volunteering work, a lot of volunteering work. I know some of my other asexual friends, they do volunteering work, you know, but the ones, you know, and others work on their own projects. So they're actually doing something useful with their life. They're not wasting it away just drinking down the pub and not doing much with their life. They're contributing to their society. They're contributing to life. You know, my other friend, he wants to go and do some voluntary work and they're improving themselves. They're very much on their own personal and professional development journey. So instead of looking to the world all the time as everything's wrong in the world or just going along with the world like a robot, they both are different. They both stand out and both outstanding. They know that everything in the world is not who they are. They're independent of the world, even though they're in it. And that's what I really love about these guys, you know? They're very strong guys in a lot of ways, you know? They take a stand in their own right. They might not even know they do this, but they are super strong guys in this way, you know? It's like the one who works on his own sci-fi universe. My best friend is just incredible. You know, like he's worked on it since a kid. And I really admire him for it. And I love the fact he's putting loads of time and energy. I tell you what, I'd much rather be in a relationship with a guy who's got his own projects that don't involve other women and stuff, for example, that, you know, that he's not going down the pub for hours. And I mean, I go to the pub with friends and I have drinks and meet up and chat. It's good. It's healthy to have that and do that. I'm not saying that, but if that's all a guy is doing and they haven't really got anything else, like no real big hobbies or interests or projects they're working on and being useful in life and developing, growing themselves in some way, to me, that's not a good person. Like, I would want to be in a relationship with someone who's wanting to develop and grow themselves as a human being, as a person. They see their flaws and they think, oh, what can I do to improve them? You know, they recognize their flaws, they recognize their strengths, and they work on them all the time. You know, like as in, you know, like weekly, monthly, not as in they don't believe they've got any weaknesses, not as in they just go along in life thinking they're the bee's knees. They actually think, oh, well, I do have some weaknesses. but I also have some strengths, and I'll work to these strengths, and any weaknesses I'll just keep trying to improve myself. I'll not be perfect, but I'll just keep trying to improve because I want to grow and I want to get better. Do you see what I mean? And it's that type of attitude that I love, not someone who goes along in life, just goes with the crowd. I can't stand people like that, who's a people pleaser. It's like they'll go on a social gathering and they'll behave a certain type of way to whoever's in the social gathering. They'll go to another place and they'll behave another completely different type of way. That's not being your true authentic self. And I know there'll be people who watch this channel who would disagree with me, but it's not being true to who you are. You're just changing like the wind, like whoever's around you. That's like a chameleon. I don't totally trust chameleons, and I don't think they're good people to be in relationships with, or even friends. That can be difficult. I mean, if you see your friend and you see them in a different environment, they're completely different. How do you actually know who they are? You don't. I think people who are changeable like that are not good. It means they're easily led, easily swayed by the environment they're in, easily changeable, and you never really know who they are. And I think that's a big red flag for a relationship. Like, that person you're going to be in a relationship with never truly know who you are if you're changing to whoever's environment you're in. I don't change to different environments. Right, I was still bubbly, loud, energetic in my old job. Some people didn't like me for it, but I am who I am. If you don't like me, it's tough. It's not my problem. Do you know what I mean? So I was still true to who I was. I was very true to who I was, probably to the detriment of, not being the perfect robot they wanted me to be. So, that's why a lot of people didn't like me or whatever, or maybe just didn't really care about me, if you know what I mean. But it doesn't matter, because the people that do care about me now are in my life, and you want someone who you're going to be in a relationship with or friendship who's going to really appreciate your personality as well. I think that's so important. So obviously, if you're in a relationship with someone, you want them to like the look of you, right? Because it's nice if they pay you compliments, genuine compliments, so they don't just pay you compliments and then all of a sudden stop. You want someone who's going to make you feel good about yourself on a consistent basis. It doesn't mean to say you use them as a crutch, so that they have to say every 5 minutes of the day, "Oh, don't you look gorgeous?" But they should be paying you compliments and attention and making a priority in their life as well, to a certain extent, whilst not neglecting all their other needs and their other friends and people. But you want someone who's going to lift you up and going to make you the best version of yourself, and really genuinely going to be there for you and care about you. Not someone who's going to put you down, belittle you, make you feel like you're crazy, withdraw away from you when things don't go their way, because that is very manipulative. Like, if you're upset about something, that person should be willing to discuss it with you and try to put it right and work out a solution, not go away from you, use it as you should really appreciate each other and value each other. I think the problem is, if people get into a relationship, they stop valuing the other person, they stop appreciating them. This could be soon, or it could be over a long period of time. They just think, "Oh, I've got them now. That's fine. I want them to do this, 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 and this for me." Yeah, they can do that. They're in the relationship with me now. And they forget to appreciate them, to make time for them, to care about them, to love them. They take them for granted. Just because that person you're in a relationship with has maybe spent 2 hours Skyping you, doesn't mean to say, "Oh, they've got 2 hours for me. They'll be available whenever I need them." No, that person spent those 2 hours with you, Skyping you, because they love you, care about you, and are interested in you as a person. And that is very rare to find, a person that's genuinely interested in you. There'll be people in the world that will make out their interest in you, but that's usually because they want something from you, not because they genuinely love and care about you. And I think you have to understand, between the friends who are, thanks for the thumbs up, between the friends who are just saying something, what you want to hear, but they're not really your friends. In other words, they're just trying to get something out of you. They might be praising you, but underhandedly, because they're just trying to get something out of you. And that are genuine friends who are constantly there in your life. Like I said, consistency is key. And in a relationship, you should be still going on like a date night. You should be having one day every week where you see each other. If you're in a relationship, that's what you really need. I mean, obviously, if you discuss beforehand, I can't see you for 2 weeks, and you're both really okay about that, fair enough. But you still should be messaging, communicating on the phone, taking time out for each other, making time for each other. You have to make time for each other, appreciate each other, value each other. And this includes, like, even in friendship, you should be making time for each other, caring about each other, valuing about each other. But obviously, if you're in a relationship, it's usually more intense. It's usually good luck, good night, my battery's going low. Oh, take care. All right, Heather. Anyway, I've pretty much done summarized most of the things up now. So I think you've got a good idea of what a good friendship and relationship looks like. It's night Heather to you. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get notified of every time I go live, like I post a new video. And don't forget, if you've got any questions or comments, to leave them down below. Till next time, embrace your quirky and each other's. Don't forget, if you are in a relationship you realise it's bad for you, friendship or relationship, please take the necessary steps to get out of it as soon as possible, because why waste your precious life on someone who's not really giving you what you need and not loving the beautiful you are always born to be. Love you lots. Take care. Bye, Heather. Take care. Lots of love, everyone. Bye.